Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sharpest Tool podcast, where we take the sting out of marketing. This is another special edition where we're focused on the coronavirus and its impact on the trades and home service businesses across the nation. My name is Josh Smith. I'm your host and the Vice President of Marketing for the Home Services Division here at Scorpion. And I'm really excited because joining me today is Kathy Neilsen, known in the trades as the Chicken Lady. And Kathy's been in the service industry for more than 20 years. She's awesome, so we're really fired up to have her here. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm sad I can't be in your studio in California, but it is what it is. So coming to you from home.
We are making do with the Zoom conference calls right now.
Yes.
So Kathy's a well-known business development consultant, and she offers some really valuable insights and practical business applications for service companies across the nation. So we're really excited to have you on for your first ever episode of the Sharpest Tool, and we'll definitely have to have a second round two when we get you out in the California studio. You got a lot of unique insights, and you're an advice for people in the trades, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what we're going to learn. But I have to start off and ask, because I know everybody's wondering, tell us about the nickname, the Chicken Lady. How did that come to?
Well, I also have my professional speaker's designation, and most of my clients and all my friends and family know I just dig my chickens. They're hilarious, they're entertaining, and half the people when they give me usernames, it's something to do with chickens. And so I was at this big event for national speakers, and they always have a really fancy black tie night and evening gowns for the women. And someone commented on my gown, and a friend of mine said, "Yeah, who knew she could dress like that and have chickens?" And I said, "There's my gig, right?" So everybody will remember Chicken Lady Speaks, and no one will remember my name or spell it correctly. So that's how it came about.
So that works.
That's my book.
Chickens? Do you raise chickens? Is that part of it?
Yeah, for eggs, yeah. I mean, sometimes we eat them, but yeah, mostly just for fresh eggs. And they're really entertaining, and they eat tons of bugs. And so.
That's awesome. Amazing. I actually have never met somebody who raises chickens, being out in California, sunny California.
Yeah, we do a couple cows, usually two. The meat in the freezer, his name was Harlow. So yeah.
Awesome. So for business owners let's jump right into it. Business owners who know they need to make changes right now, given everything that's going on, training process for their techs, pricing of their services, their administrative work, any kind of changes they need to make business-wise, how should they think about going about the process of reevaluating their business decisions right now?
Well, I think the biggest thing they need to do is be honest with themselves, because right now is a great time to evaluate that, especially if you're slower. And a lot of people just really aren't honest with themselves about how their businesses are doing or the direction to go or where they should or shouldn't spend. And so now is a great time to do that. But the key thing is just be really honest with yourself and own it. Those key financial indicators, just own those.
Yeah. In the businesses you've been working with, have you seen this manifest itself in one area of a business versus others? Have you seen some areas more common where the evaluation needs to take place?
Well, I think a lot of it in our industry, a lot of the owners used to be technicians, and they were really amazing techs and thought, well, they could have a business, but a lot of them just didn't know business. They didn't go to school for business. A lot of them hadn't been around it. And so I think that's the part they tend to not own, because none of us like to admit we're not really good at any, certain things. And so I think just really owning it. If you're a great tech, that's awesome. So if you're not really great at the business part, then admit it and figure out what you need to do from there.
Yeah, I know a lot of business owners are taking a real strong look at their marketing budget, the marketing spend, marketing plan, the strategy. What's been kind of the advice you've been giving out with respect to marketing in particular for the business during a time of crisis like this?
Well, I think it's very similar to seasonality we see, right? So in heating and cooling, we have definite seasons. We don't want to market when the season's upon us. We need to market for those times when the season's not upon us. So marketing right now, I think, is important. I watch TV, and people not in our industry, I see ads that are so, I don't want to say inappropriate, but not appropriate for what's going on right now. So I think people need to look at those marketing campaigns they're doing, if they have ads or, whatever that looks like, banners, and just update them, make sure they're relevant for what's going on right now, and resonates with people for that.
Yeah. What things should business owners be looking at and focusing on right now to get organized for the year ahead? Obviously, a crisis doesn't last forever. It'll end at some point. Where should we be placing our focus as business owners right now?
Well, there's a lot of businesses that are still busy, but there's a lot of them that are quieter. It may not be dead, but it's just a slower call volume. This is a great time to get some things cleaned up. Like marketing, what happens is we'll decide we're going to do this email campaign, and we pull our list, and then we clean up our list. But what we need to do is clean up our database to begin with, so we don't have to do it every time we pull a list. Now's great times to do that. One thing I work with a lot of people using Service Titan, and I show them how to look at their database. The default is Alberta, Canada. People are amazed how many Alberta, Canada accounts they have when they service, Missouri or Texas or whatever. So cleaning up your database is a great time to do that. People can do it between the phone calls. Cleaning up, if you wanted your financials to look different, now is a great time if it's quieter. Volume covers up a lot of problems, and so that's a great cleanup to do right now.
Yeah, definitely. What I often kind of think about too is the communication that businesses have with their consumers, their existing clients. It almost seems like now is a good time to kind of double down on making sure that you're staying present and in front of your existing customer base to make sure that you can not only continue to be top of mind, but really check in on them. I've heard of home service businesses calling their existing clients right now just to see how they're doing, and making that a part of the outbound efforts when inbound calls are a bit slower, because it really goes a long way as far as continuing to instill trust in the relationship that they have. So have you seen many companies do things similar to that, or do other avenues to stay in front of existing clients?
They are. Like, I had one person that showed me, I had put out on Facebook how you can make some sanitizer using ice maker cleaner. And because Manitowoc, who does commercial ice makers, put it out there. So I shared it. Well, they went in and they created a bunch, and then they're giving it to clients. And they said, hey, do you need any? Give us a call. So just saying, hey, are you doing okay? We can give you this if you need some. So there's things we can do like that. The other thing I hear all the time when I teach and train customer service is we tend to talk to them about why they're calling. So let's say we do heating, cooling, and plumbing. They'll call with a cooling issue, and we don't say, oh, in case you weren't aware, we also do plumbing. We can help you with any plumbing needs. Or they'll call for electrical, and instead of saying we do heating, cooling, plumbing, they say we don't do electrical. Well, the customers quit listening to you. So I think being really aware of when we're checking in with them, let them know all of our services, because they may not even be aware of the other things we do.
Yeah. Well, whether leads are slow or they're surging, this is a time when problems in someone's business might really come to light. With respect to the leads conversation, let's take a company. I know a lot of businesses are noticing a downturn in just overall lead volume and lead flow. And I think there's a lot of things that are obviously making that happen. Are there things that you've seen businesses do where they've had success in drumming up new business during this time in new, unique, and creative ways?
I actually had a client yesterday say they're opening up a sanitizing division. So they're already going into homes, and so they're going to start offering home sanitizer, going in and doing that. So I thought that was a great idea. I mean, you've got vans, you already have a database. So I think there's a lot of creative ways if we just get out of our own way and think about what can we do to serve them. I saw on a late show, I think it was Jimmy Fallon, he said, thank you to my doorknobs that I've never cleaned before and now get cleaned, 15 times a day. So those things that we never bothered before. So I think if you think outside the box like that, makes a lot of sense. The other thing is a lot of people have never spent this much time in their home.
Yeah.
So their dishwasher's getting used. Ours gets used almost every day now. We never did that before.
Yeah.
Your disposal, all those things. So let people know, hey, we can do maintenance on things. We can do repairs. Again, customers don't realize you do a lot of things. You think they know, but they just really are unaware until it's needed.
And I think some people underestimate like what people will pay for in terms of what they need help with. Sometimes it's these small things. So fixing up a dishwasher, a lot of people aren't going to be as handy at that, even though it's not a turnkey or business solution that's going to necessarily move the needle in a very dramatic way, the way a water heater or a drain, a trenchless dig might. It's something that gets you in the door, build a relationship for future business down the road too. So
exactly. I was laughing the other day. I was thinking how many people have just realized during the stay home business how much their toilets are running. Right? Because if you're not home, you don't hear it. And now you hear it and it's either irritating you or you're thinking how much it's costing you in water.
Yeah, absolutely. What opportunities do you see that there are for to make a shift in the company and steer it potentially in a different direction?
Well, I do a lot of helping people understand how they and their employees are wired, because we're all wired for certain things. The way I like to explain it is you never, I'm right-handed. I've never picked up a pen and accidentally started writing with my left hand and said, oh, that was dumb. I'm right-handed, right? Because we're wired to do that. So I just did a What's Your Genius session with a company in Denver, and it's amazing once you start figuring out how people are wired. So right now is a great time to start looking at that, because we want them to be successful, and they may be doing, or even you as an owner might be doing things you really aren't wired for. And doing things we're not wired for takes a lot of energy. It's exhausting, right? So if I broke my right hand, I could learn to write left-handed, but it'd take forever to write something. It's just exhausting. So if we figure that out and start aligning their talents with what the tasks they're doing, this is a great time to do that.
Yeah.
I also talk about, I call it my hit by a truck theory. So if somebody gets hit by a truck at lunch, can somebody sit down in their seat and do their task? Payroll's a great example, right? Can someone sit down, pull out a sheet of paper that gives it that step-by-step instruction on how to do it? And most companies don't have those processes in writing. And so now is a great time to create processes for all those critical tasks first, and then all the other little tasks.
Yeah, definitely. How else can a business owner manage team members upward?
I think a lot of that comes back to how they're wired and having them do the things they're aligned for. We've heard the expression, you promote them into failure. And it's because we think, oh, they're a really great CSR, so I'm going to make them the office manager, but we didn't teach them how to manage, or maybe they just stink as a manager.
Yeah.
And so I think to manage up, you have to be aware of what those talents are, and put them in places to be successful. And it may be something you do that you just have a problem releasing that control, and manage up by giving them some of those things to do and then oversee it instead of controlling it.
Yeah. Get the people in the right seat on the bus, to use Jim Collins' analogy, right?
Yes, I say that a lot too. It's so true, because A lot of people don't like to let everybody know how they do something. It's human nature, because then they think they'll be out of a job, or they're not be needed. But the truth is, then they can do something that they're amazing at instead of trying to do this other stuff that maybe they're just not wired for.
Yeah. I think as a business owner too, one of the things that often gets overlooked, just like exactly what you said with respect to people feeling like it's going to put them into a position where they're out of a job. I think also that's how you scale an organization, because you have that multiplier effect where, especially as a leader, there's a phrase out there, I think John Maxwell said it, something to the effect of like, your goal as a leader is your job as a leader is to work yourself out of a job. Meaning you should multiply the efforts and the abilities and capabilities of your team so much to the point where they could do your job, so it frees you up to do other things. And that's how you build a solid foundation for your organization. It seems to me that could be a really powerful thing to do right now with cross-training and things like that.
It's hugely powerful. And my personal business coach said to me years ago when I first started working with her, she said, Kathy, you have to allow people to fail. I was so busy being sure they didn't fail because I could see it. I'm a very big picture person, and I could see that train coming down the track, and I'd want to save them from it. But you have to allow your team to fail to learn and grow. And I think that's another way we need to manage up, is just allow them that room, and that it's okay, if it happens. See, we can't let the big things, the critical things fail, but you got to let them fail some to learn.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Kathy, this has been awesome. I just want to kind of tie it up with a nice bow. What last piece of advice would you want home service business owners to know right now?
One of the things I would do is look at what spreadsheets are you doing, because the spreadsheets are an opportunity for error. And most times we're just duplicating the effort of our software. And then I'm going to give 2 pieces of advice. My other one would be really clear on your language, especially now when a lot of our office staff are working from home and we're not right there in front of them. Sometimes we forget the words we're using, and we know the intent, but the way they hear it is different. So just be really clear on your words and your intent, and don't think they know what you mean all the time. And now it's just even more critical because we're not face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for being on this special edition episode of the Sharpest Tool. I really appreciate all the insights you gave, the information you shared. It's going to be really valuable, I think, for business owners listening, especially those in home services right now. So thank you so much. We'll definitely have you back in the booth when everything reopens.
I'd like that. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited to do it again. It's always fun to speak to Scorpion. I enjoy all of you.
If people want to reach you for more information, learn more about you, what's the best way they can do that?
My website's chickenladyspeaks.com, and there's a contact page right on there, and they can fill that out, and I'll be happy to have a conversation.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kathy. I really appreciate it. Thanks again.
You bet. Bye.
And for all of you listening, wherever you might be listening at, definitely hit the like button and give that subscribe button a nice little tap so you can continue to get more of this awesome content, especially amid the coronavirus pandemic that's plaguing the globe right now. We're going to continue to bring you new insights here over at Scorpion and on the Sharpest Tool podcast. And from all of us here on the podcast, we'll catch you next time. Thanks.